Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to another episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name's Sean Wasserkrug, and today we're going to be reviewing the latest Netflix action film starring Chris Hemsworth, Extraction. Now, for me, this movie kind of just crept up on me for a little bit. Like, the trailer popped up about a few weeks back, it definitely caught my eye. It looked like an awesome action film for Chris Hemsworth, but the main thing that attached it probably to the film that made everyone take notice is that the Russo brothers, the guys who directed pretty much all the best MCU movies with Infinity War, Endgame, Civil War, and Winter Soldier, were actually producing this film. They also wrote the script for this film. They didn't direct it. The director actually is a first-time director, at least for movies anyway, and that is Sam Hargrave, and he's the guy who did the stunt work for the MCU. He sometimes would stand in for Chris Evans and do Captain America. So it's a stuntman's first director's gig with the Russo brothers behind him with the script and producing, with an MCU star with Chris Hemsworth basically at the star lead. So it was definitely enough things there to really make you keep an eye on it. And the trailer wasn't that bad too. So let's go ahead and jump into the review and see what I thought of Extraction. Now, the general plot for Extraction, and that's probably one of the weak parts of the film, is that the plot is very, very thin. Is we follow Tyler Rake, a fearless black market mercenary who embarks on the most deadly extraction of his career when he's enlisted to rescue a kidnapped son of an imprisoned international crime lord. That's basically it. that's the plot in a nutshell. There's really not a whole lot more to go into it. What works in this film, the action 100% works in this film. The action is incredible, and the one thing that's coming out of the reviews for everything in this film is this one particular scene in the movie, and I'm going to talk about it as well, is about after the 20-25 minute mark, there is a 12-minute one-shot take. Yes, I know they didn't shoot it all in one shot, but it's to look like a one shot. And it is the most insane, crazy 12 minutes of this film. The director, Sam Hargrave, he who also plays a character in the film as well. If you can see the behind-the-scenes featurettes of this scene, it is amazing what Sam Hargrave does as a director wanting to shoot this scene. Dude jumps buildings while these action scenes are happening. He's strapped to the hood of a car and is basically recording the shots as the chase is happening. He does a lot to make sure this scene looks as real and as intense as it can be. The choreography of the fight scenes between Chris Hemsworth and the people that he fights in the movie also are top notch. This is the closest I've seen to realistic to gritty, awesome action sequences next to something like a John Wick. And this 12-minute scene sells the movie, because I will admit the first 20 minutes of the film are incredibly lackluster and kind of boring. And for those first 20 minutes, I really wasn't into the film. I was just like, okay, cool. I have no idea who Tyler Rake is as a person, other than the fact that it's Chris Hemsworth, and I should like this person because it's Chris Hemsworth, not because of the character, but just because of who played him. But once that 12-minute action sequence kicks in, we do get a breather after that, and we do start to kind of develop a storyline between Tyler Rake and the child or teenager that he is trying to extract, which is trying to find his name here. Avi Mahaj. I'm gonna butcher this name. I apologize. Avi Mahajan, played by Rakesh Jaswal. I apologize because that is so not how you say his name, probably. That kid does a really good job as well. I mean, obviously he's playing most of the film scared, but in the quieter scenes of this movie where he actually can act and tell a story between him and Chris Hemsworth's Tyler Rake, they actually do a really good job of that. Another standout performer in this film also is Radeep Hooda, who plays Saju. He's basically the counterpart to Chris Hemsworth's character, because there has to be someone who can battle just as good as Chris Hemsworth in this movie, and the Saju character is definitely the one to do it. Everyone else in the movie is very inconsequential. They don't really matter. Yes, there is the person who hired Tyler Rake, which is Nick Khan, played by Golshifteh Farahani. She just isn't in the movie enough to really care or do anything about it. And then, of course, you got the people who kidnapped Avi, but they're inconsequential as well. Like I said, the plot is very, very thin. You pretty much have Tyler, their kid gets kidnapped, Tyler gets hired, Tyler saves the kid, and then tries to get him to the point A to point B before the movie ends. They have subplots in there about this other kid who's with the drug lord that just, to me, falls flat. And then, of course, you have the whole drug lord storyline that just doesn't work because the whole point of this film is Chris Hemsworth getting this kid to safety, and all that other stuff just isn't done strongly enough, or is really at a point where it makes you care. You pretty much just want Chris Hemsworth to go into the next action sequence and the next action sequence because they're done incredibly well. Also, David Harbour, he pops up in a scene or two, as well as Gaspar. And he's a nice change of pace of the film because he's in there during the slow parts, but he does get his hands dirty in the action scenes as well. But yeah, that's basically the movie in a nutshell. The movie, for a Netflix film, is fantastic. But in terms of, had this been released in theaters for big box office money, it probably would have been considered a failure because like I said, the plot's lacking. You go in for the action, but you just kind of are left a little empty with it overall. Hemsworth does a great job. Jaswal does a great job as Avi. Everyone's doing their job. It's just that the storyline is not very well told or well put together, which is sad because the Russo brothers wrote the script. And for someone who was behind Endgame, Infinity War, Winter Soldier, all those films, you kind of hold the Russo brothers to a higher standard. But in terms of directing, Sam Hargrave did a great job directing this film. Everything looks great. Everything looks as realistic as you could possibly get with what was happening. It's a real gritty film, and I can't wait to see what he does next in terms of direction. I just hope that he would have a better script around him next time to really flesh out the characters and make them a little more important, besides the fact that it's an actor that we all like in Chris Hemsworth. So in terms of recommendations, I mean, look, we're in the middle of a quarantine. There's no movies in theaters right now. There's not really a whole lot to watch. So in terms of recommendations, I do 100% recommend watching Extraction on Netflix because there's not really a whole lot else to watch. And I think with this movie, you will definitely get your, not necessarily your money's worth, but your streaming money's worth watching this film, especially that 12-minute action sequence that takes place around the 20, 30-minute mark of the film. You just got to kind of get past that first 20 minutes because it is a drag. After that, you're pretty much fine through the rest of the film. So going to my review score, I'm going to give Extraction a 7 out of 10 because, like I said, the action sequences are so incredibly well done. And like I said, everyone acts the job very well in the film. Just the story's very lacking. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys feel like this review is worth sharing, go ahead and hit that share button. But most importantly, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on Sean's Movie Crusades. And of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, it's been out for a while, but I've actually been able to finally catch up and watch it. Michael Bay's Six Underground, which came out around December on Netflix last year. I'm finally going to do a review of that, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, after that, it's kind of a whatever I want to watch and review will pop up because we don't have anything coming out, I think, until mid-May with Lovebirds on Netflix and Scoob coming out on digital. So yeah, till next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.